10 underloved dinosaur movies that are not Jurassic Park and deserve a revival. They may be extinct for millions of years, but that certainly hasn't dented our fascination for these magnificent beasts. Yes, we are talking about the mighty dinosaurs that walked the earth way before humans even existed. There is something about dinosaurs that make people interested to explore about the possibility of coexisting. Here comes the what if part, where we keep wondering how things would be if the gigantic beasts walked around humans. Would they be hostile and simply terminate the human race? Would humans find a way to control them or tame them? Well, the possibilities are plenty, and fiction certainly has explored every last corner of these freakish what ifs. When we think of dinosaur movies, Jurassic Park is probably the first name that pops up in mind. But there are some underrated gems that deserve more appreciation from the viewers. In this video, we will bring you some of these dinosaur featuring flicks that weaved exciting stories around the monstrous creatures. Before you check out the new Jurassic World movie in the theaters, it might be a good idea to brush up your dinosaur trivia with these underloved dino flicks that entertained fans over the years.
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Dinosaur 2000. This movie was a rather moving attempt to portray a heartfelt story of a dinosaur raised by a clan of lemurs. They found the dinosaur egg without anyone to protect it, and they cared for the newborn like their own. The lemurs named the dinosaur Aladar, but when the meteorites hit the earth and threatened their habitation, the family must depart from their homeland. Ahead of them lies a treacherous trek, and eventually they come across other dinosaurs. However, they are also witnessing some real dangers that put their bonds to test at every step. The warm storytelling highlights the legacy that dinosaurs left behind for the emerging mammals, and even when his own kind faces extinction, Aladar is the guide for all others to survive the hostile planets. Dinosaur is a sheer pleasure to watch, and the beautiful emotional narrative will strike a chord with the hardest of souls. Aladar's attempts to protect the others are touching, and most of the characters are engaging and moving. Much of the credit is due to the voice actors such as Alfred Woodard, Ossie Davis, and D.B. Sweeney. The detailed, vivid animation makes it visually remarkable, and the authentic look of the creatures add to the fun of watching this movie. The general theme of adventure will keep viewers interested the whole time, and as long as you accept the fact that this is a Disney movie made for entertainment and not as a documentary, you will have no complaints. Initially, the makers had plans to use the Tyrannosaurus Rex as the villainous predator in the movie, but the idea changed after watching the dinosaur in The Lost World, Jurassic Park. The motherly and softer nature of the dinosaur witnessed in Jurassic Park caused the directors to change the main antagonist to a Carnotaurus, and they increased the size of the dinosaur way more than the actual length. We loved how they didn't sugarcoat everything, and some tragic moments and honest approach towards death will leave people shaken. In short, this is a dinosaur classic that deserves all your love and attention, and we certainly wouldn't mind a revival of sorts with modern day tech. The Good Dinosaur 2015. Welcome to the world where humans and dinosaurs coexist. We have already spoken about the fascination with this idea among filmmakers, and The Good Dinosaur builds on this intriguing premise. To get to witness what the world would have looked like without the asteroid crashing onto the Earth, making dinosaur extinct. Arlo is a young Apatosaurus, and he is stranded after his father gets washed away in a dangerous flood. When he is the most vulnerable, miles away from home, he finds the most unlikely company in a feral cave-dwelling boy named Spot. The journey to get back to his own kind makes him learn the true meaning of love and courage, and the friendship between a human and a dinosaur is something that only Pixar can cook up nicely. When we think of Pixar, some unforgettable classics come to mind, and The Good Dinosaur probably won't feature in the list. That being said, the story is surprisingly good, and the movie does have its moments to make it worth your time. The narrative focuses on a good deal of character development, and from a cowardly young dinosaur with trust issues, Arlo certainly comes a long way by the end of his journey. One of the highlights of The Good Dinosaur is the stunning visuals that are simply breathtaking. The animation is certainly one of Pixar's finest works, and the beauty of nature is captured beautifully using vibrant colors. The simplicity of the plot actually works as an advantage, and there are some genuinely funny moments to keep things lighthearted. There is some mild violence as well, but nothing alarming enough to keep this one away from kids. In fact, the shy or insecure kids might actually take heart from the powerful narrative, and it might just become one of the entertaining life lessons for them. King Kong 2005. Yes, a King Kong movie also gave into the temptations of using a dinosaur and got the two apex predators to fight. The story starts off with Carl Denham, a greedy producer, finding the perfect location to shoot his movie. Skull Island is filled with unspeakable dangers, but the crew soon finds out that King Kong is a real creature and the giant gorilla lives in the prehistoric jungles of the island. However, they are shocked to discover that King Kong is not their greatest threat because the island is also home to some dangerous dinosaurs. King Kong is not exactly the best pals with the dinosaurs, and he develops a caring attitude towards Anne Darrow, who is the leading lady. The troubles of the film crew and the saga with a gigantic gorilla continue, but King Kong taking on dinosaurs is easily one of the highlights of the movie. Peter Jackson, the director of the movie, is a huge name in Hollywood, largely because of his Lord of the Rings trilogy. He stated in an interview that the original version of King Kong actually inspired him to take up filmmaking, and obviously he wanted to create his own take on the classic. He succeeds to a great extent, especially with the emotional quotient of the narrative. The bond between Anne Darrow and King Kong is surreal, and the action scenes will take your breath away. The cast was picked to perfection, and the talented lot, including the likes of Jack Black, Naomi Watts, and Adrian Brody, put together a brilliant performance. Another stunning feature of the film is the CGI effects, and the hard work that went behind the amazing visuals will go down in the pages of history. The CGI version of the Empire State Building, for instance, took 18 months to be made, 4 months more than the real building. Towards the final hour of the movie, the action is non-stop, and from chase sequences to truly gory moments, the movie has it all. Of course, we loved King Kong defeating his dinosaur enemies, and that is one fight scene you can check out again and again. This might not be a movie dedicated to dinosaurs, but the underrated masterpiece will certainly please all the dino fans out there. Land of the Lost 2009. Dr. Rick Marshall was a famed paleontologist, and his world came crashing down when his views on using time warps to solve the energy crisis on Earth were found to be controversial. Cambridge student Holly Cantrell is guilty of supporting his theories, and together they decide to continue their experiments. The technology is still in development, and they accidentally end up in a deadly world that is filled with dinosaurs and other deadly creatures. Saving their reputation is now the least of their concerns, because first they have to save their lives and get back to their own world. The movie explores their adventures in this new world as they try to stay clear of dangers lurking all around them. Will they manage to escape from the land of the lost?
Territorial. Virtually nothing will distract them from each other.
This movie gets a lot of criticism for the 50s and 60s style that they adapted, but people don't realize that this was done purposely. The idea was to recreate the cheesy characters of the bygone era and use them with dubious special effects as a fun parody of the style. The direction is on point, and the makers retain the theme for the whole movie. Will Ferrell is the heart of the movie as the protagonist, and his fans will have a field day with this one.
What are you doing?
I'm giving up. It feels good.
There are plenty of witty and hilarious moments that will have you grinning from year to year, and the production design surely turns back the clock in style. Of course, the $100 million budget seemed to be a bit too steep to recover, and the film tanked at the box office. But numbers don't always justify the quality. Yes, the movie is undoubtedly goofy and lighthearted, but from an entertainment point of view, it is just the right one for a night with a couple of beers. The Land Before Time, 1988. This animated adventure drama tells the story of an orphaned brontosaurus named Littlefoot, who sets out searching for the mythical Great Valley. This is supposedly a legendary land of lush green vegetation and the perfect dwelling ground for dinosaurs. The lonely Littlefoot is soon introduced to a few other young dinosaurs called Sarah, Ducky, Spike and Petrie, and all these dinosaurs are of different species. However, they become the best of companions and learn to work together. The path ahead is riddled with dangers and the evil predator Sharptooth is on the prowl. The group of young dinosaurs must deal with the challenges that come their way if they have to get to the fabled Great Valley. The animated films of Don Bluth holds a special place for those who were born in the 1980s, and The Land Before Time is no exception. This is a timeless classic that can be watched countless number of times because of the evergreen story.
Greyhounds never play with long necks.
You will start rooting for the young dinosaurs out on a dangerous journey, and before Lion King won over the kids, The Land Before Time was the true definition of an everything movie. It indeed had everything, from thrill to suspense to action to emotions, and the viewer is in for a roller coaster ride that promises entertainment at every step. The animation is exquisite, and so is the soundtrack used in the movie. The sequels are adorable as well, but it is a tough job to beat the charm of the original. The only complaint we have is that the movie was too short and we could have watched the cool dino characters some more with a longer duration. All in all, this is one of the best animated movies ever made, and watching it with your family can be surprisingly rewarding even today. Tammy and the T-Rex, 1994. There seems to be something strange about the murder of a high school student named Michael. He was thrown into an animal park by his girlfriend's ex, and his thugs and a lion mauls him to a comatose state. Back in the hospital, an evil scientist uses the opportunity and declares him dead so that he can implant Michael's brain in an animatronic Tyrannosaurus. Michael's girlfriend, Tammy, figures out the true nature and identity of the dinosaur, and once it escapes, it can get its revenge from those who tormented him in school. The couple must find a suitable vessel for the brain because the police and the evil scientists are after them. Of course, the movie has a happy ending, but we must warn you that the climax is a bit too weird for comfort. You might be led to think that the movie was made because someone had access to a T-Rex animatronic, and you would be right. This is exactly how the director got the idea for the movie, and it is not tough to guess that the story was forcibly constructed around the T-Rex structure. The movie screams cheese the whole time, but it also falls into the category of movies that are so bad that they are good. The characters are almost as ridiculous as the things that happen, and realism is so far away from the story that you cannot even see it. The narrative is deliberately outrageous, and the pure B-movie goodness offers plenty of laughs. Denise Richards looks alluring as Tammy, and Paul Walker as Michael makes the most of the role. However, the cast can do so little if the makers are willingly creating something goofy. If you are looking for a guilty pleasure with a dinosaur wreaking havoc, this is the one to opt for. The Valley of Gwangi, 1969. The Valley of Gwangi tells the story of a traveling Wild West show which is struggling with business and threatening to shut down. A local cowboy named Tuck Kirby decides to help out the showrunner with a declining business, and he has just the right idea. He learned about a mythical prehistoric creature called El Diabolo, which was a miniature horse, and he also heard rumors about the presence of an Allosaurus in the mysterious valley that hides these rarities. They decide to find this forbidden valley, but things get serious very quickly when they run into real dinosaurs. The rumors turn out to be true, and it could be a make or break opportunity for the show. Before you judge this movie through your modern lenses, do check the time period of its release. This movie was conceived even earlier as a follow-up to King Kong 1933, and there is even a black and white footage of this initial idea. It is a typical Western fantasy film idea, and cowboys meeting their match in some historic creatures are just the type of action scenes that keep us interested. Jokes apart, the movie does strike a strong punch with the entertaining action, and the simple story is really just all these scenes put together. Ray Harryhausen's stop-motion creations saved the day, and the prehistoric monstrosities look as good as they could in 1969. The movie was made for over 2 years, and Harryhausen used over 300 animation shots for this film. The sound effects by Warner Brothers added a new dimension to the experience, and purely in terms of effects, the movie was ahead of its time. The Valley of Gwangi also gets the blessing of an adrenaline-pumping climax, and it makes it worth the wait. Of course, you shouldn't expect skillful acting or critically valuable cinematography from this one here. Watch it for what it is, and you won't be disappointed with the Cowboys vs. Dinosaurs storyline.
animals. It's growing. Growing real fast.
Carnosaur, 1993. Dr. Jane Tiptree is an evil genius, a brilliant geneticist who believes that dinosaurs should have never died in the first place. She creates a new strain of prehistoric dinosaurs using chicken eggs, and trouble starts brewing when one of these genetically enhanced dinosaurs escapes from the premises of the bioengineering company. The evil scientist wants to replace humans with dinosaurs, and only a night watchman stands in her way. He is helped by an idealistic environmentalist, and the two must work together through their differences to fight the flesh-eating beasts created by Jane. Can they get together to save humanity from extinction, or will the sinister plans of Dr. Jane Tiptree succeed? Before you start judging us for picking this one, let's just confess that we are suckers for solid dino flicks. Evidently, Carnosaur lacks a comprehensive story and proper filmmaking technicalities, but it isn't really all bad. You can experience the wonderful performance delivered by Academy Award nominee Diane Ladd, and you will be amused to know that this movie actually appealed to some of the strictest film critics out there. Honestly, apart from Diane Ladd playing the perfect villain, there isn't much to talk about. The dinosaurs look pretty decent, but that's just about it. The low budget is clearly noticeable from the poor special effects, and there is only so much that can be done with rubber puppets. The producer, Roger Corman, is regarded as the king of B-movies, and he delivers one of his trademark cheap and trashy B-flicks that can be fun for mindless entertainment. Watch it only if you have a taste for genuine B-movies, because classics can be found elsewhere. The Dinosaur Project, 2012. It all starts off with a British expedition gone wrong. A team led by researcher Jonathan Marchant and many others plan a trip to Congo to look for evidence of a particular dinosaur. The team is joined by a local guide and a helicopter pilot, and things soon take a turn for the worse after their helicopter crashes into the unexplored forests. Unknown flying creatures attack the chopper, and they all end up in unknown territory. Jonathan and his team are about to witness the impossible in the land of the unpredictable as their worst nightmares take the form of prehistoric creatures and show up before them. The somewhat open-ended nature of the narrative will keep you guessing the whole time. Yes, the story is probably something that you have heard several times before, but trust us when we say that the execution is far from poor. It is a nice blend of found footage cinema and science fiction that comes together to deliver an intense film. The atmosphere of hopelessness and doom will keep you going. It is almost like watching tragedy unfold slowly and steadily, and the back and forth choppy footage adds to the feel. One of the most exciting things about this film is the dinosaurs, of course. They look absolutely vicious, and the narrative is not as carefree as you see in movies like Jurassic Park. There are moments of pure horror, and 5 species of CGI dinosaurs will be a treat for those who love anything dinosaur related. The actors do an adequate job, and the camera work steals the show with subtle details. But is the story predictable? Well, there is no denying the inevitable, and this is where the film takes a hit. Clearly, the movie cannot compete with the big budget masterpieces out there, but as an individual effort, the film deserves to be appreciated for the wholesome effort. The Velocipastor, 2017. Doug is a Catholic priest who is grieving the loss of his parents in a car fire. He travels to China to find solace, and he comes across an artifact that has the power to turn people into the Dragon Warrior. Soon he starts to transform into a dinosaur, and initially the condition leaves him terrified. However, a chance encounter with a prostitute named Carol changes his perspective on the whole thing. He uses his condition to fight crime, and meanwhile, a larger conspiracy is being hatched by some corrupt ninjas who want to use a powerful drug as a weapon to create loyal followers. How will Doug fare against these sinister plans, and how far will his powers help him get rid of evil? Using dinosaur powers to fight crime, that's a first. The Velocipastor certainly gets a point for the innovative nature of the narrative. Of course, it is outright ridiculous, but we can guarantee you that it will have you laughing the whole time. The narrative is outrageous and silly for its own good, and cheesy flicks featuring dinosaurs will rarely get better than this. The ninja fight scenes are hilarious, and everything from the god-awful props to the dialogues and special effects is campy in nature. Brendan Steer obviously understands that the movie is not to be taken seriously, and he gets together a cast who makes the most of the over-the-top moments. The whole thing was made within around $40,000, which is ridiculously low for a movie made in modern times. The makers had to cut corners and think out of the box for some special effects that you see. For instance, in order to achieve the aged look of the movie, the films were put in an oven and baked for around 10 minutes after shooting. If you want to laugh your lungs out and don't mind a silly story being told in a sillier fashion, Velocipastor will be the perfect option. Final words. While these movies did momentarily capture the fancy of the audience, it is understandable why Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movies hold a special place. The big budget, the creative stories, and the mind-blowing special effects do put together the most terrifying dinosaur experience. However, if you give these underrated flicks a chance, we can assure you that an entertaining time is on your hands. Do let us know in the comments below which ones excite you the most, and also let us know what you think of the newly released Jurassic World Dominion.
And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.
That creature protected you.